The following is a transcript between Matías to Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am, me. Today is the day corresponding to the mind of the root chakra, and I was thinking of how difficult it is for most spiritual people to accept the importance of this chakra in enlightenment. I am. Well, it's clear that in the last 2 millennia, the function of this center of power has been misunderstood and seen only in its negative aspects. This has clearly generated a particular vision of it that, out of habit, has turned it into something taboo which should not be talked about. Me. It's because of that constant search to go to the heavens, believing that everything earthly traps us and is bad. I am, forgetting that the shape of the cosmos is toroidal, and the higher you go, the closer you are to returning to the base, the bottom. Me. What should we understand about this chakra? I am, basically that it is the center of vitality. Since you created the energy in the sacrum, this is where it settles, and it takes the strength to light up. It is the spark of the serpent of the light, the Kundalini. The energy circuit is a closed process of positive and negative axes. To understand it, you have to understand the following. What happens when you light a fire? Does the heat go up or down? Me. It goes up because the electrons dissipate, right? I am. And the cold air? Me. It goes down. That's why the stoves are placed below and the air conditioners are placed above. I am. Cold air weighs more, and hot air weighs less. Thus we can see snowfall from the skies and a fire rising, blazing into the air. This helps us understand that the spirit, the cosmic mind, is a fresh platinum energy that seeks to descend into matter, to become water, to become life. As long as the body is hot, it emits energy and lights its fire by evaporating the water, making it return to its celestial state, consuming all anchored into matter, into ashes. Both generate the cycle of life, the engine of the positive and the negative. And observe the great error. The negative is what descends, and the positive ascends. That is, the spirit is the negative aspect, and the body is the positive, not the other way around. Therefore, it is the densest parts of the being that seeks ascension, illumination, while the enlightened one seeks density, to be born. To live the great conflict is to believe that the spirit wants to rise to the light when he already inhabits the light and consciousness. A spirit is an adventurer, an artist. It needs to be inspired to live, to experiment, to go down into the mud and to get dirty, to be nourished by the grace of creation. Instead, the body seeks transcendence, constant liberation, seeking to expand and regain clarity, leaving what weighs it down to feel at peace. Me. So all this time we've done it wrong. To deny the lower part of the body is to deny the ascension, the transmutation of being. I am. Denying your legs and your genitals on the path of spirituality to find enlightenment is like wanting to look for water in the rain instead of using a barrel or a bucket. You try to accumulate it by opening your mouth and pointing to the sky, but you will die of thirst, and you will feel only the aroma of the spirit, but it will not satisfy you. Me, the source of the spiritual connection, is it then in the genitals? I am. Strange as it may seem, it is. The fundamental key to understanding this is that the spirits do not want to die. They want to be born. The universe seeks to create life, and life arises from the potential of reproduction or multiplication, a kind of energy ecstasy that leads the spirit to join the patterns of matter. In a way, it is the spiritual mind that constantly thinks about sex, because the spirit delivers the vitality to the bodies, and for the spirit to descend, it needs the cell multiplication and the combination of genomes, that is, information. The crown chakra is the door of the spirit to matter, and its physical source is anchored in the pituitary glands, a tiny brain gland responsible for the homeostasis of the body, that is, balance. It is what drives the hormonal functioning of the entire body, who gives order to the rest of the chakras and glands. The furthest gland to which this information reaches are the genitals, testicles, and ovaries. The impulse of the spirit on these glands is to generate the cells of life, and therefore vitality. To do so, it sends a large number of electrical pulses that dilate the genital area, generating heat, which seeks to expand. The flash of heat is sexuality. Be hot, they say, right? Me, yeah, it makes sense. I am. Thus the energy begins to rise, transmuting the fire of the body, ascending. The cold energy of the spirit is converted into the hot energy of the body, and they complete a circle of creating the perfect life energy. Now, the circuit is perfect at an energetic level, and it becomes more complex at a biological level. The biological basis is multiplication, mitosis, meiosis, and the creation in turn of these two positive and negative aspects in two types of genetic gender, male and female. The first will be driven by the heat to sow the genetic seed, the second to retain that said seed by uniting it with its own. Normally, in a biological world, the male must fertilize as many females as possible to ensure genetic territory and expansion. The female needs much more time to gestate the seed until it hatches and fends for herself, and that is why the male cannot lose time. However, depending on the climatological or geographical context, this symbiosis adapts, such as a generation in a long-term communion with an aim of protecting the fruit of said union. Every kingdom, species, and race has found a way, but the human adapted another, the cultural. Cultural is another way to ensure the transcendence of a group and genetics, and puts an artistic, spiritual, and moral weight on the reproductive act. Me. The way you put it is as if there is no love between couples, as if everything is simply reproduced. I am. That's how it is. Whatever it is, your body, your soul, your mind, an individual, or the universe itself, the only thing they seek is to expand, to have the ability to discover what they are capable of with their potential. From the biological, it is reproduction. From the emotional, it is the ability to feel. And from the mental, it is the ability to learn. And from the cosmic, it is the ability to create. It is a matter of somatics. Your problem is that you are so involved in the emotional concept of love that you do not see that love is energy. It is not cultural. You're the only species that calls the energy love, and you think you're different or beautiful because of it. Well, no. The energy is already beautiful. The combination of positive and negative, of the ability to create, to seek to multiply, to see in the other the complement for transcendence, all of that sounds mechanical to you, is love. It is beauty. It is creation. It is falling in love. De-romanticize your moral idea of what it means to join another, because of that way you will only think that the only way to feel love is because of what another makes you feel, or because of the utopian idea of reaching a place where we all love each other with hugs and kisses. Me. I understand then that for spirit everything is one, and reproduction and birth are potentials for manifestation, for loving, for interconnecting energies that expand. I am, exactly. Now, like all energy, it can also stagnate. Let's go to the animal kingdom to which you belong. You may have noticed that humans' reproductive season begins around 12 or 13 years of age, and for a decade or so, everything spirals out of control. The hormones generate a lot of heat with the intention of making the body grow, especially to the position of an aspect worthy of reproduction. And this excess of heat generates a period in which controlling the internal fire is almost impossible. And when there is a lot of energy in the same place looking to get out, we all know what happens. Me, explode. I am. That energy is called rage, anger, hatred, and all those low emotions that generate discord, fights and fights. But is this human? Me. No, it happens in all the animal kingdoms. I am, and in others too. It is a fight for reproductive territory. The energy of the mammals makes it fight with other males and females to obtain the territory for the largest number of agents with which to reproduce. That makes them intolerant and activates the fauna. Do you remember what was done in Kim 12,000 years ago with young people between 12 and 18 years old? Me, we were taught to handle sexual energy. We were told that this stage was the best to learn to connect with the spirit if we were learning to channel the potential, if we took advantage of this fuel. We were taught to have conscious sex, which today would be Tantra or Kama Sutra. I am, sure. Today that energy is repressed with morality, with taboo, with religion, with shame, with that is not spoken about, that is not done. The more this energy is blocked, the stronger it explodes. A few thousand years ago, this dazzling and lustful period was attributed to our animal past. In the quest to be heavenly and holy, there was talk about celibacy. It was understood that rage and anger were attitudes of the devil and should be punished. The rage come from hysteria, from the Greek hystera, Hystera, which means uterus, which linked women directly with the devil. To calm their emotional disorder, they were classified as almost animals, belongings of men that had to be controlled, and they were used only for reproduction. And the man was told that sex was only to reproduce, and they should do it only with a woman in the eyes of a god. In turn, man was considered the closest to divinity, and therefore a large number of people were forced to leave the earthly pleasure for heavenly glory. But, dear friend me, the body was still an animal, and denying it would not make it disappear, but make it even more angry. It is like having a power plant in a dam where water arrives every day, and therefore more energy is generated, but it is not being used for anything, not even for lighting a town. Sooner or later, this non-flow of energy, this denial of love, this lack of affection, the denial of the genitals, treating them as an impure part, all of this leads to the explosion, which destroys everything around it. Call it rape depravity, pedophilia, is the misuse of sexuality for the simple fact of having denied it. You cannot deny the source of your vitality. Me. Is the sexual violence we are experiencing now a reflection of this? I am. Now? Now you have the internet, and it's the only thing that has changed. The positive energy that his seed delivers with its fire, the masculine side burns, devastates, penetrates by nature into the celestial energy. If the energy is not well worked from childhood, if it did not receive the corresponding loving balance, if it did not learn to respect the energies of others and manage its own, then it will use its vital energy to try to dominate others. And the longer the trauma of repression has lasted, the worse the outcome, as in rape. The same thing happens with the celestial feminine energy, which descends and receives said fire. That is, it can trap him, it can control him, it can manipulate him to mold the other to her mercy. Many of those who sought to feel sexuality freely, they were forced to abandon it, turning them into celibate priests and nuns who have found in the repression of others rage and anger as an outlet for their energy, and some, in the most vulnerable, the children. And they do, because they too are wounded children. The violence of humanity comes from not being able to manage its life force. Me. A comedian once said that if a human had more sex, there would be no wars. I am. Was he a humorist or a scientist? Look, vital energy is the key to the expansion of life. If I cannot expand myself, I will seek to expand over others, imposing my energy, seeking to dominate them. Any anger I feel is the accumulation and retention of energy that I am not using correctly. Me. What I notice between the lines is that sex is essential for balance. I am, not sex. Sex is to reproduce or satisfy a momentary energy. Sexuality is the key to enlightenment. All the power centers that ignite the divine fire of the Kundalini are located between the anus and the perineum, the testicles and the ovaries, in the penis and the vagina, in the clitoris and the prostate. There is a force that ignites life. There the cells and nutrients that create humans are generated. What greater force of creation, then, do you have in your whole body capable of allowing you to create without limits? Me. And how do I use it? I am. Well, there are many ways. First of all, stop thinking about what society has told you about these parts. Forget about what you have learned or believed from it. Clear all preconceptions of this energy engine. Second, find out. It is a part of you. Analyze it, observe, touch, discover. To know how to use it, you must learn and practice. Me. It sounds silly, but yeah, most people don't really know where their tender parts are. And it's not just a matter of masturbation, but of sensation. I am. There is the third step, 2 paths. First, the first way is to discover the point of the greatest pleasure and allow the biological fire to be released until all the muscles relax. The second way is to send the fire to the head without the need to release the tension, that is, to ejaculate. The first path helps us to know our limits and to discover the power. As well, it keeps the circuits active and clean. The second path lights the fire of the chakras toward the crown, connecting us to the sacredness of sexuality. And all of this must be done alone in the first instance, because this is the discovery of oneself. The time will come to achieve this with another. Me. First of all, this would allow us to accumulate energies, to make them flow. And secondly, it would help us better connect with our spirit. True? I am. Enlightenment feels like a great orgasm, ecstasy. And if you don't know what an orgasm feels like, you'll never know if you have become enlightened. Me. Good point. Good point. I am. The energy that runs through the entire body is infinite. Misused, destroyed, generated horrible emotions of hate, rage, control, anger, manipulation, violence. Learn to discharge the tension of the entire body of the base chakra, and you will be able to use the vital energy to ascend. Connect with the infinite creative power and your higher self and manifest it here and now. Me. The big task is to release the idea of what we believe about sexuality. I am. That is why we are in the mind. Surely, many have a dirty mind, and that's normal. It is due to the inability to let go of the occult ideas about sex. This is the chakra that keeps humanity trapped, no other. All of the ills pass through here, the source of his power, of his energy. They cannot claim to light up without electricity. They cannot claim to feel warmth without fire. They cannot claim to see light without an energy source. They cannot think that the way to illuminate is by accumulating light and energy, because it will only result in an explosion. The repression of this chakra is repressed all the others. The fear of creating from the sacrum, the fear of being oneself from the plexus, the fear of loving from the heart, the fear of telling the truth from my throat, the fear of thinking differently from the third eye, the fear of believing another than the crown. Me. Eggs, ovaries, guts, courage. I am. Put your energy into it, because you are your own energy. Me. I am vitality.